Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Coaching Corner. It is Tuesday. You know, I love Tuesdays because I get to come on here with you guys and we talk about all things special education. But before I jump into anything, listen, last week we did a reel and we posted it on our Instagram and we talked about basically how special education had left the Department of Education and the Office of Civil Rights is with the Department of Justice now, and y'all blew up that reel. Goodness, it was at like 179,000 views. It's probably more now, but goodness gracious, you guys blew that reel up. Thank you all for the follows. Thank you all for the questions. You guys said that we explained it so well. Some of you said like this was the best explanation of what has happened, because you clearly could understand, what did happen, so we're just going to go. So tonight we're going to just go into what has happened and then what this means for schools, for teachers, for parents. What does this mean for you? Okay. So for those of you who are new to us from following us from that reel, hello and welcome to the Coaching Corner. I am Jamilah F. Bashir, aka the IEP Coach. I'm the founder and CEO of the IEP Coach LLC, and we help charter schools with broken special education systems to fill those gaps, to keep them out of litigation. Okay, so we focus on special education systems in schools. All right, because oftentimes they live in one person's head. They know one person knows all the things. That person gets overwhelmed and burnt out. They quit, they leave, and then they have left the school with all the systems. So now that school is left with nothing, no systems, because no one knows it but that person. And now they're at risk for litigation. Okay. So that's a lot of the work that we do here at the IEP Coach LLC. And thank you all for joining in. Welcome. As you come on in, please let me know where you are tuning in from. And tonight's topic, again, SPED is moving to Health and Human Services. What this actually means for teachers, leaders, and parents. So before we go any further, please share out this live. And as I'm telling you to share it out, I am sharing it out as well. All right. And happy Tuesday to everybody. Oh my God, we was going through a heat wave. Oh, it was sweltering. I nearly melted outside. Oh my God, it was, oh. I do not like the heat. Goodness gracious, I do not like the heat. So it was, whoo, Lord have mercy. But I'm glad it rained. We got some rain. It's cooling down. Whoo, thank the Lord for that. All right. So let's go ahead and jump right on in. Hello, everyone. Let me know where you're tuning in from as you tune in. All right. So here we go. And before we get started, please subscribe to our newsletter, the IEP Insider, where we give you strategies and tips for leaders and as well as special education teachers, so you can apply the strategies the very next day. Our new editions go out every single Wednesday around 12:30 p.m. So make sure you click the link to subscribe. You can click the link in our bio to subscribe, and others who are online, I'm going to go ahead and drop it in the comments here. Okay, hold up. Copy. And let me paste it here in the comments. Yes, subscribe to the IEP Insider. INSIDER. All right. And if you're tuning in on Instagram, the link is right there for you to click and subscribe. All right. So the special education was moved from the Department of Education. Okay. And OCR, which is the Office of Civil Rights, was moved from the Department of Education as well to the Department of Justice. So the Office of Civil Rights, that's the office that handles like all of the special education complaints that occur, in schools, so any complaints, due process, all that stuff from schools, OCR handles that. Okay. And they are being moved to the Department of Education. And special education, you have the IDEA law, the federal law, which is the regulation on making sure they hold schools accountable to make sure that they are implementing special education services with fidelity. So like they hold your schools accountable. Okay. So that is the overall federal law. Now, you may be thinking, okay, well, since special education was moved, well, what does this mean? Hey, hello. You may say, well, what does this mean for us? What does it mean? Okay, they were moved to the Department of Education. Okay. Now, again, a lot of you found out this information from the reel that we did about 2 weeks ago that had all the info that just basically explain what was happening. Okay. So, first off, I'm just going to say, I'm just speaking facts, just giving information. Okay. That's all we're doing, here. All right. So again, special education was moved from the Department of Education. Office of Civil Rights, aka OCR, was moved from the Department of Education. Special education was moved to Health and Human Services, and the Office of Civil Rights was moved to the Department of Justice. Okay. The IDEA federal law, it is still intact. It is still being enforced. Okay. However, the problem is that these changes were made without Congress, without the vote of the Congress. They just moved it without the vote of the Congress, which you're not supposed to do. Okay. So that is like one of the big problem. Okay. Now, again, I want to say this clearly. IDEA still exists. Okay. FAPE, free appropriate public education, still exists. IEPs and the IEP process still exist. Okay. Federal law just doesn't go away. It doesn't just evaporate. You can't just like, oh, I don't want that no more. Like they can't do that. Okay. So the federal law is still, the IDEA federal law is still in place, intact. All right. Now, the issue is, okay, if a school is not doing right by its students who have special education, okay, you're not going to go to the Department of Education. Like the Department of Education is not there to hold that school accountable. Now it's like, okay, if a parent wants to file a complaint, they're not going to the Department of Education anymore. Okay, now all of your civil rights complaints is going to go to the Department of Justice. So it's not a one central place that parents, anyone who has a complaint or is having an issue with the implementation of special education with their child, or if their child is being discriminated against, it's not a one place anymore. It's like, okay, you got to go over here for these types of complaints, and for things regarding like IEPs and things, okay, you need to go over here. It's like breaking up things. You know how when you have one central location, it just makes it convenient for you? That is one of the problems now, because you have multiple places you're going for different issues. Okay. Now, okay, so we talked about that was moved. Now, what does this actually mean? Okay, so I'm going to start off. I'm going to talk to teachers first. So for teachers, what does this mean for you? So as a special education teacher, even a general education teacher, you still are supporting your students who have IEPs. You will still do that. You will still need to support them, service them. Related service providers, you still have to provide service to your students. If it's speech, if it's occupational therapy, if it's physical therapy, if it's counseling, whatever service that you're providing, you still have to provide it. You still got to implement that IEP, because the IEP is still a legal binding document. Okay, so you still have to implement that. Now, the thing is, where schools that have like strong special education systems in their schools, you have these systems set up. So you have your IEP system set up, IEP writing system set up, your IEP meeting system set up, you have your progress monitoring set up, you have all your different SPED system set up. You're going to be okay because you're already in the habit of making sure you have documentation, making sure you're implementing these services for these students. And then like when they get to transition age, which is 14, and you start talking about transition services, you have a system for that, and you are making sure you implement that transition plan. You'll be okay. Now, schools who don't have strong special education internal systems, they are about to be exposed. They're going to be running around with their heads cut off because they don't have any systems in place to help track their students' progress, to help track making sure these IEPs are being implemented, that their services are being implemented. They're about to be exposed because the federal law, IDEA, its job is still to hold schools accountable. Okay, but like now your documentation is going to be important more than ever, because it's like we don't really know, like, how is this really going to impact, you know what I mean? So it's like you always got to have your documentation. So if you're already in the process, you're already in the habit of making sure you have your documentation for everything you're providing for your students, okay, you're in a good situation. If you don't, you're going to be in a terrible situation because you're at a higher risk for litigation because you don't have the documentation to prove that you are implementing these services. Okay. All right. Now, when it comes to administrators, you still, like I said, IDEA is still being withheld. Not withheld. It is still in place. It is still being enforced. So schools still have to implement IEPs. You still have to implement IEPs. You have to make sure you have enough staff at your school to support your students with IEPs. You have to make sure that you are able to provide FAPE, free appropriate public education. Okay? You have to make sure that you can still do that. Okay? All right. Now, for parents, I said administrators, I said teachers, related service providers. Okay, now parents. Okay, so parents, your power has not gone away. It has not disappeared. They haven't removed you. You still have, the power to advocate for your child. Okay. But parents, what I really need you to do, and even teachers and admin, what I want to make sure that you do as well, but mostly parents, make sure you understand your state's special education codes and special education regulations. Okay. Because IDEA is still in place, but IDEA, the law there, that's like the floor. That's like the bare minimum that states should follow to make sure they're implementing special education properly in their schools and in their districts. Now, the reason I'm telling you, make sure you Google your state's special education's codes, basically the regulations on how they implement special education in your state, is because some states have stronger regulations than the IDEA law. Okay. And so your power where you can go to for assistance is your state to get help. Okay. This is why I want you to, again, Google your state's special education codes, because everyone's state's special education codes are different. And again, some states' codes are stronger than IDEA. So think of IDEA law as the foundation. And every state cannot, how they implement their special education, it can't go beneath IDEA. No, you got to go with IDEA or go above IDEA, even build off of IDEA. Okay? So it's like you have IDEA and then your state codes, regulations are above that. Okay, they are built on top of IDEA. A state, whatever IDEA says, that's what every state has to do. They can't say, we're gonna do less. No, you can't do less than what IDEA regulates. You can build off of IDEA and add more. Okay. So that's definitely what I definitely need all parents to do. Look up, Google your state's special education code so you are clear on what the regulations are in your state, because that is where you will go if you are in need of support for your student. Something is not being implemented properly, you can go to your state, because you may even find out again your state special education regulations are stronger than IDEA. Okay. And so again, this is the time to, I know it's like scary because it's like, oh my God, why are you moving? Why are you being sneaky? Why didn't you get Congress's vote for this? So it does make you look at our government to be like, yo, what are you doing? Like, how long people fought to get that in place. Like 50 years ago, schools could legally not enroll students who had special needs in their school, and it was okay. And that was only like 50 years ago. It wasn't like hundreds of years ago. No. That's still in some people's lifetime. That's, some people can remember when, hey, students with special needs weren't even allowed to come to school. And so you had a lot of parents who advocated for their children for the right to get an education. And so when things like this happen, it's like, wait, what is going on here? What is being done? And so this is why I'm like, definitely make sure you read your state's special education codes so you know. Okay, so you know what's going on in your state, what is allowed in your state, what is supposed to be given to your child in your state. Like, what is your child able to get and receive? Like, how are they protected? Okay, you definitely want to look that up, because, hey, some states are better than other states. And this is why you have some people who will move to certain areas because the services are better than other states. Okay, also, when school starts and you are in disagreement perhaps with the school team or anything, document everything with the school team. Document everything. Make sure you get physical copies of your child's IEP, because you always should have that on hand. You always should have your own copy of your child's IEP, so that way you can also keep track of what is in your child's IEP and what services are due to your child. Okay. Oh, let me make sure I didn't forget anything. All right. Do we got any questions? Any questions? Anybody have questions? I know it takes you a minute to type, so okay. So another thing that I do want to add is, again, parents, Google your state's special education code so you know what's going on in your state. School leaders, definitely review your special education systems for your school. Make sure they are intact. Hey, if you see gaps in your school, in your SPED department, your SPED program, your SPED team, reach out to us at the IEP coach. That is what we do. We support schools with their special education systems. That's what we do. Okay, reach out to us, get on a call with us, so we can support you with improving that. Okay. Do remember that due process under IDEA is still legal. That is still in place. That does not disappear. Again, audit your SPED compliance now. Make sure your systems are in place. Whatever is broken now, fix it. fix it. Make sure you have a strong relationship with your state SPED office. Okay? Let's see. Anybody got questions? And parents, document everything. Get you a notebook. It could be a composition book. You can use notes on your phone. You can get a spiral notebook, whatever. Just document. Put the date, put the time, a conversation you had. When you email, it documents the time for you. But make sure you just document everything so you have your paper trail of what is happening. Okay. And I understand some of you may be scared. I understand that. But be a scared parent who knows your rights, okay? This will help you to advocate for your child and advocate against the system, okay? All right. And this is all that I know so far. If anything else changes, I'll definitely do another reel about it just to make sure I explain it in clear terms. I don't assume all of you know the acronyms. I don't assume that you all know the law, IDEA law. I don't assume anything. That's why I always break things down to make sure it's digestible. So anybody come into our page, you can understand what's happening. All right. All right, let me see. No questions? Let's check. Any questions? No questions. Thank you for the information. No problem. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. All right, let me see. Let's check Instagram, see if we got any questions. All right, we don't have any questions. Listen, if the questions come later, feel free to send us a DM. You can DM us on TikTok. You can DM us on Instagram, Facebook. You can send us an email. We're very responsive, okay, and we will respond to you. You may ask a question on our comment on a piece of content we have, but send us a DM directly of a question once it comes to you, and we will definitely answer your question. Just a reminder to subscribe to our IEP Insider newsletter. It comes out every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. Make sure you subscribe so you can get so that way you be the first to know when the edition drops tomorrow. And again, any questions that come, feel free to send us a message. Special education coach explains state laws and parental. Okay, no, that wasn't a question. I thought it was. All right, so thank you all so much, and please remember to be kind to yourself. All right, listen. Before we go, the Department of Education didn't give IDEA its power. Federal law did. All right. Federal law still applies. Federal law still applies. That law is still in place. Okay? So get rigorous. Remember, Google your state SPED code so you know how your state's special education regulations are to be implemented, what's going on in your state. Make sure you know, okay? All right? And take care of yourselves. Stay cool in this heat. Make sure you hydrate, all right? Take care of yourselves. Hug your students. Be the best advocate that you can for them. How do you do that? By making sure you're educated, by making sure you know the facts, you know what's going on in your state. That is one of the best ways that you can advocate for your children and for others, okay? So everyone, be kind to yourselves, take care of yourselves, and be safe. And we'll see you all next Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace. All right. Peace.